Hey everybody, it's your best friend Drew Geraci, and I got some more comic books from my spinner rack. Some I've plucked from the spinner rack, and some I recently purchased, and I will be finding a home for them in my spinner rack. So She-Hulk, first issue was written by Stan Lee and penciled by John Buscema, so it was an easy pickup. And the story was just okay. There was a blood transfusion. She got shot from these mobsters. She's a lawyer, and Bruce Banner happened to be in town, gave her a blood transfusion, and she became She-Hulk. Now the thing is, she didn't become like the fun-loving, accepting of her abilities character that she would come to be, but she was. It was just a knockoff of the Hulk. She was pretty much the same way, just a little more intelligent and much more articulate. But it was the stories were sort of. I mean, the covers were great. I mean, this is Bob Layton, babyface Bob Layton, who is doing, who just really knows how to sell a cover. He was doing Iron Man at the time. He was co-plotting it, penciling it, inking it, and doing finishes and everything on Iron Man at the time. And what's interesting is early in the shooter era, there seemed to be like a sense of ownership. Like if Iron Man was going to show up somewhere in the Marvel Universe, maybe contact Bob Layton to do the cover. And similarly with John Byrne, he inked the cover of the next last issue of Marvel 2-in-1, which had Rom and little stuff like that. So, however, I apologize to anybody who's a fan of the original run. I had the first 10 issues, I think. Part of it was the momentum of Stan Lee and John Buscema, and the covers were really good. It was later on Michael Gold did some phenomenal covers, but it just was sterile to me. And David Anthony Kraft and Mike Vosberg have done much better stuff in the past, but or before and after, but not. I don't feel this series. Chick Stone inker, I like him a lot more than I did Frank Springer. Frank Springer has a more earthy, shabby kind of inking to it, and like an unfinished look to it. So, alright, means I have to find a employer on the other side of the coast. He wasn't West Coast. He was, in Long Island. He flew to the West Coast to help this woman who says her husband, an employee, disappeared. And this is before Iron Man became a California regular, before he moved there, which was, among Silicon Valley and all that stuff. So, she gets angry or cross, she leaves. She's trying to sue Stark Industries for a variety of reasons. The She-Hulk. And she always had the same, just like the Hulk, which was frustrating that he always had purple pants. She always had like a white onesie underneath her clothes. It was just very by the book. Kind of stodgy. Not a lot of foreshortening. Like, that's okay. I mean, that's accurate right here. But, part of the reason that people liked the Marvel way, which was essentially the Kirby way, was because it had, a lot of flair and, kind of burst out of the panel, a lot of figures and faces. So the drama is very so-so. But that's just me. I mean, they did actual 2 volumes of Marvel Masterworks hardcover reprinting it, so it has its fans. I'm not going to bag on you for being a fan of the book. It just wasn't my taste, that's all. And there you go. Yeah, they brought back the checklist, which I loved. This rare George Perez doing a Twinkies commercial ad, and this was based off of issue 1, I think it was 190 or 189, where Molecule Man made this building come to life. Brilliantly imagined by Perez. It's a good story, though. This was another one of those treasures that I get at Dave's Comics and Collectibles in Fayetteville, Georgia. This is Paul Galassi. Not the most exciting cover, but it gets the point across. It's a split book, kind of like Tales of Suspense, Tales to Astonish, and everything. Star Masters, which it was also the name of a book during DC's explosion in 1977, which was a book created by David Michelinie and Bob Layton, and that lasted a while and had its fans, and then went over to Marvel. That was a DC book. So this is a real treasure because it's very early Tom Lyle, possibly his first printed work, and it's already, there we go, created, written, and drawn by Tom Lyle, who would go on to become legendary in the Batman universe for a variety of titles. And, he knows his stuff already. This must have cost the printer a fortune, or the publisher, AC Comics. The cover's kind of shabby, but I don't care. It's the interiors I want. I love that face right there. Hold on a second. Very interesting face. So much going on. It's great. It's really enjoyable. Then we go to some guy named Paul Ryan, who 2 years later would end up finishing the Squadron Supreme miniseries, and then he'd go on to do West Coast Avengers, and then the Fantastic Four. A lot of good books. You can probably find it dirt cheap. I found it in the discount bin. But in fact, it might be hard to find it. I don't know. So, how about that? This is Steve Lytle and Jerry Ordway. Woo-wee. That's sweet. So I enjoyed this. I enjoyed it a lot. Then we go to another anthology called Star Reach, which was Michael Friedrich's creator-owned magazine, comic actually, that came out. It was strictly mail order. It wasn't on the stands. And then when comic shops would direct market, and the like Capital City and other distributors, they began to publish books. That's how we got this great stuff. Lee Aloha. Love it. There we go. Beautiful. And this is issue 15. I didn't know it went that far up. In 1983 or 4, there was a reprint. I don't know if maybe it was Eclipse Comics. They did like the best of Star Reach, and they had a Jim Starlin story. They had other stories in it. So it was. So some of these have been reprinted, some of them have not. But it's creator-owned 100%, which was really something in the mid-70s. I think this may have initiated the work-for-hire contract, because they were seeing some of these freelancers, like even Len Wein and Howard Chaykin, were doing these stories on the side, and maybe they thought, well, we don't want these creators to get an idea that they own something. Boy, I love that. Look at that. Cross-hatching with whiteout. I could be wrong, but the timing seems suspect. So Gene Day, who was 1978, he was strictly inking for Marvel at the time. I think he did some for DC, and then he became an artist unto himself for a couple of years. This is almost more like an illustrated novel, but he would do full storytelling on Master Kung Fu for a year or two. That was very celebrated. And he went to DC briefly, and then he died young, which is unfortunate. Now we're going into Steve Lee Aloha territory, who I mentioned before. I just love his stuff. I guess he's doing the colors too. The colors are really great. And it's always neat to see the penciler / inker also do the coloring. Like, that looks blurry, but it's not. just cool stuff. Puts me in mind of the Star Wars Cantina. Come on, there we go. So he's looking at some Mike Plug there a little bit. And what's interesting is this paper here, not only is it in color, but it's real thick stock. It's like that Baxter paper. The rest is newsprint. Now this, I don't know who did this. I looked. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Gray Lida, Tempest Fugit. So a lot of yada 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 yada. Yada. Very 70s. Very. And there you go. And at the same time, you can have Imagine, which I may have to get some of those because it has Adams, Russell, Ditko, Rogers, Vosberg, Chiraco, don't know that guy, Gaspari, Mars, Larson, Gilbert, Mukaide, and Day. I'll have to check these out too. So good stuff, good stuff. A nice cornucopia. Now we get to Iron Man. This is a year after Bob Layton, David Michelini, and John Romita Jr. left the title, and it kind of wobbled around with some fill-in issues that were actually pretty good by Alan Kupperberg, Carmen Infantino, and Steve Ditko, and then eventually the new team of Denny O'Neil and Luke McDonnell came on board, and at first I didn't like them because, for the simple fact, they were guilty of not being Bob Layton, David Michelini, and John Romita Jr. It was just a stupid fanboy reaction that I had that I was like, why are they keeping them on my book? But Bob Layton wanted to do his Hercules miniseries, which turned out to be great. So I forgot that like free will had something to do with the decision. Anyway, special thanks to Machine Man Maven Supreme Tom DeFalco, who wrote the last few issues of the Steve Ditko era. I think it was like 17 through 19, and he really found the voice for Machine Man. Kind of droll sense of humor. Kirby started that, and after Kirby retired from mainstream comics, Tom DeFalco and first Marv Wolfman, then DeFalco took over on the rest of the series. But anyway, what happened is Machine Man, he's curious about Iron Man. He thinks Iron Man's also a robot. He just wants to compare notes, and he's got no patience because you got to keep going. It's a Marvel comic. You gotta, So there's a strange robot of some sort on the premise. What? A robot? Hello, front gate. Tell that robot that I'm not interested. Tell him I don't care what he does. Now that is not Tony Stark at all. But what happened is he started drinking again, and whereas the previous team tactfully spent less than a year on the subplot of Tony's downfall into alcoholism, O'Neill spent over 2 years on it, and it really, I didn't like it at all because Tony Stark was in a gutter, on a snowy day, and he was with some woman who was pregnant, not by him, and it's just like, why did you have to drag my favorite hero all the way down like that? I mean, there's a lot of other things you could have done, but that's one of the things I sort of blank out of my mind in continuity. I'm like, no. I mean, maybe it could happen. Like, I would say, like, very, very unlikely. And as far as a year-long story, 2 years long, it sucked. Now, Rhodey taking over Iron Man was great. I liked it. I would have rather had him be incapacitated, but, put him on the street and all that. I thought that was just really, come on. I'm like, I love this guy. So he's trying to get himself a shower, got to sober up to meet this robot, because he's told the robot's not going to take no for an answer. Steve Mitchell's inks are pretty neat. I like them. And he's like, Not much conversation, mostly a little help with life's uncertainties. Heck, maybe I can answer some questions for you. You offer friendship, and he thinks back on this woman he fell in love with in a couple of issues, and she betrayed and laughed at him, and he fell into drinking again. And there were other things that it wasn't just her, but she was the last bit. He fell in love with her, and he's like tear you limb from limb. He's not really much in a talking mood. He's in that sleepy, he's talking like a drunk person, which he is. That is great. Luke McDonald's really exciting stuff. I'm going to destroy you. That's for openers. But there are boomerangs. And Iron Man's getting careless. If I can't use my hands, I'll use this. George, watch out. He missed me, but he's going to smash those humans. I'll never dodge in time, even though it took me a long time to say that. I really like that. I love drop-offs where the lines break and fade. So what happens is he knows he's outclassed by Iron Man as far as muscle, so he extends his arm, yanks himself down really fast, which is a great move. I'll throw some electrical current to you. That's wrong. I love this, man. This is really classic Iron Man. Nothing will get in my way. He accidentally swats one of his employees, a scientist, because he's just a mess right now. He's drunk. And he tries to disable the boot jets, but he finds out that he's dropping like a stone. Maybe he's human. He's not mechanical or electronic or even bionic. Beneath that shell, he's human. Can't be murder. Catches him, takes off. And mind telling me what the hassle was about? Sorry, I can't be bothered. Iron Man, you ruined the project. You blew 4 years of my life and 80 million of Stark's money. You put my partner in a hospital. What did you get to say? Sorry, I can't be bothered. My head's aching. Because I fought with an android or something like that. So he blacked out. He was a blackout drunk at the time. And so he heads out. Oops, excuse me a second. A horrible, horrible memory. Yes? Thank God I finally got through you. It's awful, but the office is torn apart and the laboratory is wrecked and blah, blah, blah. I can't be bothered with it now. Have the cops... You'll have to cope as best I can. Have a car around front, please. One of the expensive ones. So he shaves his whiskers. And he decides to go to a top flight hotel. And he's going to stay there and get drunk. He goes, oh, darn, I'm nearly out of libation. Libation? Drinkables, Jim. I was wondering if you could do me a favor. Go down to the corner and get me a couple of bottles of French brandy. He says, I can't leave my post. You shouldn't be bothered. Don't worry. No problem. So this was like the last issue that I kind of liked. And it really got... It just really... I know sometimes they say if you're really drunk, your real personality shows through, but he goes off the rails, and it really doesn't sound like him. Like, this is the last issue, I think, that it sounded like him. And, where he was starting to fall apart, but then it just got really ridiculous. And, like I said, I love the roadies backup, but, him filling in for a couple of years, but I hated what they did to Stark. I really did. So, well, Danny O'Neill did to Stark, sorry. I love you, Danny, but no. So this was the miniseries, 8-issue miniseries of Justice Society of America. Each issue focusing on different characters, and then towards the end they bring them all together. Kind of like the Golden Age JSA books would do in their stories. They would have chapters with separate characters. Len Straczynski, who I think we lost recently, he also wrote, I may have him mixed up with another Len, who wrote an Iron Man era that was really good with the modular Iron Man. So Grant Mime fills in for Mike Parobeck. And Grant Mime, the last I'd seen him, he had done... Actually, he started with Dark Horse, I think, doing The American, which was a Captain America. It was, what if Captain America was not just one guy, but if he was just a bunch of guys that, how can I put it? They were basically cannon fodder. You know, it's like, you know, it'd be like Captain America getting killed right away. The government replaces him with another Captain America. He gets killed, gets replaced by another Captain America. So, and they try to make you think it's the same, you know, the same person. Really nice stuff. He's really well suited with this Black Canary action. Like that. That's a great pose right there. It's like understated, and it's just a great angle. And it's cool. It's cool when she's on her motorcycle. Because Alex Toth did that era, I think, too, where she was on a motorcycle. I think she might have driven one in the Golden Age. I'm not sure. But it's real nice stuff. Penciled and inked by Grant Mime, whatever. I apologize. And Solomon Grundy. And this is Starman's Wand. It is a subplot that I won't give away. I like that. That's really jazzy. Behold, Sagittarius. So she just keeps dodging and hitting Grundy as much as she can. And he falls out a window. Trash can to the ears. Woo! Oh, God. The worst crossover. It's when DC and Marvel decided, okay, every year we're going to have a huge crossover event. And this is by... You probably go by any fan poll and it would tell you this is probably DC's worst. It was like a mystery who this guy's identity was. And it turned out to be Hawk from Hawk and Dove. And it's only because the fans they kind of all figured it out. And DC's like, well, we can't change at the last minute. We can't do a bait and switch. That's Hawk right there. So for some contrived reason, I don't know. And it was all the annuals that year. Just a lot of those events, like crap all over the annuals. How about that? Ooh-wee. The OG Green Lantern. Well, there you go. Let me know what you think. This led to an ongoing, I think, like a year or so later. But that only lasted 10 issues, which is unfortunate because it was the same team of Parobeck and Len. I can't say his name properly. Straczynski, I guess. I mean, I've got a lot of Polish in my family, but I can't really, you know, I don't want to muck it up. So this was the last issue that I enjoyed, mostly because Machine Man was in it. And Star Reach, which was really good. I'm going to try and get some more of those. First stuff, that's Paul Gulacy. There's, Tom Lyle and Paul Ryan's first work, as far as I know. And She-Hulk, which, I'm sorry. Just not my thing. And it's funny because right after that got canceled, Roger Stern put her in the Avengers, and he made her accept her lot in life as a She-Hulk, and she was going to be the She-Hulk permanently. And it was great because she was just sort of like, she kind of turned into a, I don't know, like a real cosmopolitan type character, just like fun and fashionable and stuff like that. So that's all. Let me know what you like. Let me know memories. You know, if you disagree with me, I don't care. That's fine. Everybody has their tastes. You know, I've never argued that somebody should hate something that they like. Okay, everybody. I think I'm done, and I wish you all the very best. Bye.